Hello guys, in today's video we are going to create a custom Angular directive that hides elements for specific users in our Angular application. So let's switch to Visual Studio Code and start creating our first custom Angular directive. Okay, here I have created the Angular application with ng-new and called it custom directives. So this is a blank and basic structure. Now, as I like to store my directives in a shared module, I'm going to create a custom or actually shared module here in our Angular project. So what I have to do is right now I'll type this command ng g, which means generate module, call it shared, and add the flag module that will tell Angular CLI to create a shared module into a module named app. So this is basically going to create a shared module and place it and import that module in our app module here. So when we click on our app module, we'll see that a shared module is imported here for us through the Angular CLI. So that's it. And now we have a shared module here. After we generated the shared module, we have to generate our directive. But first, we have to see what are Angular directives actually. You are already using Angular directives, and that are ng-if, for example, ng-for-off, ng-switch. So that are built-in Angular directives. And we are creating something following the same procedure, but it will do the some custom things for us. So that is actually a structural directive, and it hides or shows elements into a DOM, and we can use that to do something with our directive and call it in any of our elements. So we are going back and typing the following command: ng generate directive, and we'll call that directive let's say hide for roles, and I have to place it into a shared module, shared, and I'll put it in the directives folder, and it will be named hide for roles. Hit enter and wait for it to be created and generated for us. So here you can see we have directives, and we have our directive here which is named hide for roles. So the first directive has been generated. Now we have to implement some logic to our directive. So first of all, in our constructor, I'll add the following: private view container ref, and it will be view container ref from Angular core. Also private template ref any. These two will help us manipulate the data, actually manipulate the DOM, and remove and add elements using our directive. And now I have to add here some input. So add input, and we'll set I'll say hide for roles. It will be a type of array of strings, and we'll open a function here. And now I'll say okay, const hide for, and if we have hide for roles as input here, we will use that. Otherwise we'll add a blank array, actually empty array here. Now we have to put some logic here. If height for length is greater than 0, we'll run some function to get a result of checking these rules. So we'll call it this rule checker and provide the height for as an input. We'll generate the function really quickly, and else here I'll say okay, this view container ref embedded view, this template ref. Okay, so if we have some here, if we have input of these roles, we'll check for roles and do some logic. Otherwise we will just show the template as is. And now in this role checker that we have to call here, I'll add the following: role checker function, height for, this is our input of type array, actually array of strings, and now close bracket, open it again. Okay, role checker, we'll get an input as array, and we'll use here, I'll say current user roles. So I'll hardcode here some roles to our imagined current user. You'll probably use user from local storage or JVT roles or any kind of roles you're getting, doesn't matter. You'll just add that roles here in this step, and you can say okay, const user roles again, it is type of array and the string equals to admin. Let's say our current user is admin, and maybe we can add another role. It is, let's say, product owner. Okay, these roles we have in our current user. Now I have to check if user roles length is equals to 0. So if there is no roles, if user role length equals to 0, in this case I will remove that element we are checking for roles. So this view container ref will just say clear, and we'll remove it. Otherwise, if our user has roles, we have to check these roles. Then I'll say const index, this I'll just type it as this as index, and the user roles, find index, and it will go like this. We have a role, and we will check this height for, that is input for our function. So this is height for, and we are going for through every role here from this user roles with this find index function, and we're checking every single role here. If that role, I'll say find index of role. So if that specific role exists here, I will say if it's not equals to -1. So we are checking index of these. So if it's -1, so we are just checking if if any of these rules we are expecting up actually here are stored in our user roles. So that is, and now when we know if there is index match, here we can say the following: return index less than 0. I'll use ternary operator here and say this view container ref create embedded view this template ref, and also actually else this container ref there. Okay, what does this do? If index is less than 0, that means there is no role match here, which means that user is allowed to see that element. Otherwise, user is not allowed to see the element, so we will just remove that element from the reference. So that is basically it. We have our logic here, as you can see. Okay, we have directive input template ref view container here, and this is the name of our directive that we are going to call in our HTML elements here in our components. So that's it here for this hide for roles directive file. Okay, now I'm going to shared modules, actually to shared module here, and I have to add this hides for roles directive to our exports here. Roles directive. Why am I doing this? Because if we don't add this hide for roles directive to exports of our shared module here, it won't be available to our app module actually, and our app component and HTML here. So we cannot use this directive if it's not exported from this module. So if we do just small tips, if you're working and add this hide for roles directive just for imports, it will be available to shared modules actually, and to shared components into the shared modules, so that you would do that only if you want to use that directive between different components that are shared, so just for their logic, not for other components. So just to have that in mind. Now we are doing ngs actually, okay, ngs, which is ngserve, and waiting for our compiler to compile the app, and we'll check the result in our browser. Now we're going to our browser here and checking our website here, and it is a basic Angular generated website. And now we have to implement our hide for roles here. So I'll go to the app component here and say, okay, let's find something of our elements here. Okay, let's say that we want to remove these resources here for specific user. So just to find them. Okay, this is the resources cards. I'll say app height for roles, and I'll say okay, it is as we said, it has to be an array, and I'll say editor. So this should be removed for editor role, and you can see there is no resources here because our user is, let's say, editor, because we hard coded the roles here. But if I change a role here to say admin, these should be back. Okay, yes, they are. Or we can go here to our app component and say height for app height for roles, contributor. So it will be removed again because our user also has contributor roles here. And say here to check what's going on here. Okay, we have the same result here. And now if we remove this, you get this what we had at the beginning. And what is really interesting here, we can apply this for any kind of elements here. Maybe we can just want to remove this h2, and I'll say okay, I don't want to see that. As you can see, I don't want to see that for contributor role. Another tip I can tell you here, instead of let's say hard coding these roles here, let's say these rules here, what I prefer to do is in this shared module, I just generate another create a folder and call it constants, and into that constants I generate a file with the constants, or just let's say that is let's call it denied roles, or role groups .ts, so it is TypeScript, and I'll say export. You can do whatever you want. Role groups here. Oops. Here, and default. Okay, I'll add here some kind of let's say groups for users, primary, for example, and I'll add users. Let's say I have admin, and I have let's say product owner, and secondary I have a contributor, and I have here let's say editor, why is this complaining here? Oops. Const user groups equals to this, sorry, my mistake. And here we have these two groups of users, and what we can do here, we can just go to app component here and say okay, we want to import a group that we don't want to see here, or we want all groups to have here. So we can call it user equals to we'll call our role groups, and that's it. And now into this app components here, instead of telling a contributor and the things, we can just say okay, user groups dot just let me check, role groups is actually okay, user groups dot primary, and it's hidden for let me just check if I get the user groups here. User groups. I haven't imported the proper user groups here. Role groups. User groups should be role groups. Okay. Primary string is okay. Let me check where is the issue. Let's see user group, primary groups. Say user groups doesn't matter. Okay, we can check that like this. User groups. Okay, and it works still. We don't want these. Okay, we can say user groups. Hide for user groups. Okay, so just let us see what we are hiding here and for who are we hiding that here. Okay, we are hiding for primary group, and primary group is admin and product owner, and as we are testing here in the directive roles, let me see, okay, we have admin and contributor, so we can just see here that we are hiding our image from here. Let's see where is it. It's a bit confusing. I don't know. I don't see in this example what am I hiding here. Okay, let's try with this. Hide for roles welcome. Okay, yes, it works. So there is no welcome message here, and also we can do the same here with this hide for roles, and it works. As you can see, there is no resources, and we can say okay, and I'm just a bit checking why it's not working for the when I call it like this, like role groups, as role groups here, role groups, and to say user groups primary, and actually it works. Let's see secondary. Okay, we can see that there is no element here, and we are hiding it from secondary. Let's see, in secondary is a contributor, and for in primary is admin, and our directive has both of these, so that's the reason why I thought that it doesn't work. Okay, that's it. As you could see, that's just basic things and the best practices with these constants. So in any time, if you have to change something or some group here, you just have to go to the constants here and to change the group of users who can see something here. So that is basically it. Thank you for your time, and thank you for watching, and if you like the content, please like and share it and subscribe to my channel, or if you would like to see more of these things, please just put in the comment section what would you like to see and what would you like me to cover and to explain more. Thank you very much again, and see you in the next lecture.